Last week I showed you how we built a raised bed for our balcony garden. After sharing the bloopers from the video, many of you were concerned whether I got hurt and asked me to be more careful. For me, the difficult part was mainly because I was new to woodworking, and also we chose the wrong screw heads for the first raised bed. To make the drilling and screwing process less intimidating, always drill the holes before screwing in. And while selecting screws, choose the one with star-shaped heads. Anyway, thank you all for your concerns, but it was really not that scary as you see in the video. Now that the bed is done, this week I'm going to show you how to fill them up. You might wonder what is so special about this video. You fill them up with soil, right? But I'm going to layer them with different materials and also briefly introduce you to the Hugelkultur method. So stay tuned. Basically, we can fill the raised bed with the classic potting soil mix or the vegetable garden soil mix that you get from the store. There's nothing wrong in that. But I'm going to stack them up with 3 different materials, which has its own advantages, which I'll explain in this video. The first layer would be a layer of pine bark, some old dried wood materials, stems, leaves. Honestly, at the time of filling, I didn't have access to dead leaves or stems as it was raining for the past few weeks and I couldn't go out to collect the dead leaves and stems. Therefore, I'm using pine bark because I have it with me. Wood chips can also be used instead of this. This layer not only acts as a drainage for our raised bed, but will also eventually decay. When they start decaying, they act as a sponge and can store a lot of moisture, and plants can draw up water from them. Also, with time they get composted, which is again good for the plants in drawing nutrients. The second layer would be a layer of compost. For this, I'm going to put a thin layer of store-bought compost on top of the layer of pine bark. On top of this, I'm adding my half-ton homemade compost. This will eventually get composted inside the raised bed. They say you could also add fresh kitchen scraps to this layer, so I'll go ahead and add some to my second bed. And on top of this layer, I'll add the rest of the store-bought compost. So in a nutshell, the second layer is a mixture of store-bought compost, half-ton homemade compost, and kitchen scraps. Compost layer, as you all might know already, provides the nutrients for the plants to grow. Adding the half-ton compost and kitchen scraps to this layer will encourage the composting process to continue inside the raised bed. The advantage of this will increase the heat inside the raised bed, which will keep the roots warm even though the temperature outside is low, which means extended growing season, which is always a plus. Final layer would be normal vegetable garden soil. This also contains some nutrients for the plants to kickstart their growth. In a nutshell, what I've done is I've filled the bottom 40% with pine bark, dried twigs and leaves, and also some old soil. The next 30% was filled with half-ton homemade compost and store-bought compost. And the rest of the 30% was filled with normal vegetable garden soil mix, which was also bought from the store. This method is actually inspired from Hugelkultur technique. Hugelkultur is a German term which is very common in raised bed gardening. It is actually a permaculture method, or in a simple words, it is a sustainable form of raised bed gardening. This method has a lot of advantages. First is it provides plants with enough nutrients for the entire growing season. Second is it can store more moisture, that means we have to water less. And third is it keeps the roots of the plants warm, which means extended growing season. And the most important advantage is that it helps us to save money because we don't have to buy more than 100 liters of garden soil to fill the raised bed. So all this will lead to a productive bed, but we'll see how mine will turn out. I'll of course share my experience, both good and bad, in my future videos and also in Instagram. Now that my raised beds are filled with soil, I can go ahead and transplant my vegetable seedlings. I'm super excited for this and I'm just waiting for the weather to be better. If you're thinking about buying or building your own raised bed for your balcony space but don't know where to start, I have a detailed blog post and a video on this topic. I'll link both below. And let me know if I can be of any help because I know how daunting it can be. Thank you so much for watching. See you in another video. Bye and take care.